What's going on? Welcome on into the November trade recap video. It is time. We are looking at November 30th, finishing it off pretty nice and strong with a $181 realized P&L for the day. And all we did was close our silver long. So we're going to dive into all the details here in this video. This might be a bit longer. Well, it's going to be a bit longer than the usual trade recaps because this video is pretty much going to be detailing the entirety of the month. I haven't really looked too deep into this, so we're going to kind of do it live and look into some of the details and the data that we have for the month of November, and then how we can use that or take what we can away to use that going forward. So I will tell you right now that we finished the month with a $165 positive P&L. If you were to jump over to this entire month was traded on the Surge Trader audition 50K audition account. So we currently have locked in a balance of 51,023. Yet the portfolio is valued about $225 higher. So technically speaking, these are realized gains. I do have open positions. I have 3 open positions, which are all, I think, positive in terms of their P&L, which equate to about $225. So we do have unrealized gains that are up a nice bit on top of that, but I'm not closing those positions, so they're not going to be shown here. Not like a big deal, but that is also part of it for the transparency purposes. And yeah, here in Surge Trader, you can see that the latest trades, I mean, we've been on a nice little run, I guess, but the latest trades have been, and the funny thing is they're all swings. So I think we're going to find and discover, well, I mean, we've only had about a month of data to track, but I think we're going to start discovering some good info from the details inside of TradeZella. I kind of have a suspicion. But yes, so essentially we had locked in the silver, a couple partial profits, and then the ultimate take profit. Here was the trade on silver. I'll pull it up. Essentially on the 1 hour chart, I was looking for a break of, I entered on this resistance break, which was, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. And then that popped. It did get a nice push, pulled back, found that to be support. So it held it, showing, you know, it's looking good. The stop loss is actually under these lows. And then we moved that stop loss up as time went on and established this area to become now support. I moved my stop loss to here, which was pretty much almost a break-even stop loss. And then eventually it just kind of maneuvered its way to the take profit, and boom, here we are. So pretty straightforward. It's actually in the midst of a nice little breakout as well right now. And locking gains into that extension is what we are all about. So I also look at that silver chart too, and I'm like, you know what, I want to be proactive here, lock these in because, you know, your grand scheme, you look at it out, you know, like, it's up a good bit, you know. However, I do think on silver, to be honest with you, like I was looking at this on the big picture time frames, go to like a monthly chart time frame, and not to get like caught up in here, like we have a potential for like a pretty substantial breakout on the monthly time frames, like for a push up into the, you know, upper 20s to 30 range, and then, you know, above that, you know, who knows if gold's testing its all-time high now, it's close. Like, you know, we've got some interesting looks. So we'll see if that ends up panning out, but that's not the point of this video. That was just the point of that trade. So we started off the month pretty shitty, I'll be honest. And what we really had was a couple of trades or a couple of days of kind of forcing some day trades that didn't need to be forced. I'll be honest with you, be brutally honest. The beginning of the month I didn't really trade much the last week of October into the first week of November. And then I guess like the first 2 days of November. And then we started off, I didn't trade on Monday, the 6th. And then I came back and I started trading after that. And we just kind of couldn't find a rhythm. I over trading a lot of trades in there. And, you know, to be honest, let me get myself out of the way. You can kind of see on the bottom here, you know, a lot of over trades and too many trades. Some of these were swing trades that I entered. Some of these are partials and stuff. So it wasn't like, oh, I took 11 trades in one day. Not really. But, you know, it just wasn't really working very, very well. I was just not in a rhythm, wasn't feeling good. And then we kind of picked it up, and we've had, you know, 2 weeks in a row of not having a red day, I guess, realized P&L wise, which is pretty cool. But, you know, it's just the ebbs and flows. That's not reality forever. I'm well aware of that. So the numbers for the month, 42% win rate. So we were a sub 50% win rate. And even with the 3 open positions, even if I were to close those all right now, they would all go down as winners. It would still be a sub 50% win rate. But how do we make this? How is it profitable? How does it make sense to be happy with these numbers? I'm not like, oh my God, these are the best, you know, by any means. but a green month's a green month. Most people can't do that anyway. So 1.57 risk reward, our average win loss. So it means my average, my average winner was 105 and my average loser was $67. So all I'm going to say is I will take that every single month. Every single month, I will take those numbers. I think I can improve them, but honestly, it's not even like I think I can. If that was closer to 1, I'd say, yeah, I can really improve them. That's fine. I think the problem this month was this right here. There were some trades that I probably didn't need to take that I took and were kind of forcing. And hey, I think the time frames were throwing me off. I think I was trying to take too many on the 5-minute time frame, just weren't working. And then I slowed down on that, and it's been panning out pretty nice. So let's get into the reports, because that's what it's all about here in this video. There goes the white background. My eyes are about to get blasted. No, but in all seriousness, if you were to go back to last month, we had a P&L last month of about $1,300. And then this month, we followed it up. Here's last month's stats. Pretty good, right? Numbers are pretty solid and very minimal losing days and whatnot. But then we followed it up this month with some tough times early, a day of pretty big losses that put us down here on the 13th. You can see by the bars. But that was also because we had closed out a swing trade at the same time of having a pretty close to max loss day trading day. So it added to what it made it look worse. It wasn't like, oh, I had, one trade that I let go that long. I stopped out. My problem is not having huge losers. My problem is death by 1,000 cuts. On when I have big red P&Ls, like it's a lot of things that add up, unless it's a mistake, because I've been pretty good with that. So these are the stats. Let's dive a little bit deeper though, because I kind of want to get into this stuff. So average hold time on winning trades was 3 days, 1 hour, and 1 minute. So over 3 days was my average hold time for winners. Average hold time for losers was 9 hours, and that kind of makes sense because to me it's like, you know pretty quick if it's not going to work. So the winners should be longer holds than the losers. That's like what strategy should tell me should be. If I go to last month, my average winner on my average hold time for winners was actually 1 day and 6 hours, and average loser was 1 hour and 42 minutes. So you'll notice that has gone up substantially, and that's because I've just been taking more swing trades, and there's been longer holds. So that's kind of what it is. If you go by day, Mondays, not so good. Pretty good midweek, and then not so good on Fridays so far in the stats. We've got more trades, on Wednesday and Thursday, and even Friday. Monday, only 7 trades. There was actually a trade on Sunday. That was a trade because I took on a crypto position that I was lost $3 on, so it was just like a test. Weeks, we don't have enough. And this is more like if you want to look back on the year, months, trade time. Let's get to the trade time. So, time of day. Was there a correlation here? It seems like early on we were good, and then not super telling, although we took most of our trades here. This correlates, I think, this 10 a.m. to an hour after the market opens or so, an hour or two after the market opens, getting ready or getting in position to start taking day trades, and then taking day trades, and that's what I think this correlates to. The rest of it, I think, is kind of wonky in terms of the timing, because there's no way to, this is way out there, after hours type time, which is because I'm locking in a swing trade on silver right now. That's why that comes in. So a little bit tough to tell, but I think I think that the red really came from that time of day when I was sitting at the desk day trading earlier in the month, and just things were not working. Trade duration, we kind of covered a little bit of this, but we can kind of see that, losers, it makes sense to be on the red side here. Then there's kind of that middle ground of some day trade winners were probably in that 10 to 30 minute time frame, and then some losers were in that 30 minute to an hour, and then some beyond. So it's kind of tough when I'm looking at these stats. Could be more useful on a broader scale, but it's kind of tough when you only have so many trades this month, so it's not as super easy to tell. In terms of price, not super telling, because I'm trading gold, I'm trading Bitcoin, I'm trading stocks. It's not super helpful there. Same thing with volume, but instrument is more interesting to me. So where were the biggest wins? Biggest win was actually on silver. The second biggest win was realized gains on our GameStop short. The third biggest was on our US dollar short. Then we had an ARC long, made nice money on that. And then we had some crude plays, Nvidia, Meta, and from there we pushed on. This is the top 10. If I want to go to the bottom 20, what do we do not do good on? Target. Target was actually traded a couple of times. I want to say 2 times. One was initial swing trade earlier in the month. That just did not pan out. And then an additional trade I think I took a couple of weeks ago, or like a week or 2 ago, that also I exited pretty quick. S&P did not do well. Microsoft didn't do me too nice. And then XBI comes in there. And then from there, we had a couple other small losses, but nothing super crazy. What do we take the most trades on? AMD, a lot of day trades there. Tesla, day trades on that. And S&P as well. I think we took some day trades on that, but everything else is kind of mixed from swings and, not as active in the swing. Like, you're not going to take 37 swings, you know what I mean? So you don't trade as many tickers. Now, if I go to, let's go to our multiple is probably easier to, our multiple I didn't track super closely. It's based off of going off of what the initial stop and take profit that I enter are telling me. So it's not super helpful. But I want to get into is the tags. Here's what I was getting into. So what about the tags? Early in the month, we were bearish, I guess, and we had made nice runs back up to finish off the month. So if you dive into this, you've got bear flags. I took 12 bear flag setups. Now, I call them bear flags. I call them bull flags. It's kind of, that's the strategy that I trade, right? Now, when you say that, you might look at that and say, well, you can look at a bear flag and a bull flag different ways. Yes, I pretty much classify those as horizontal breaks, horizontal breakout or breakdowns. Now, again, you need to have a decent size move, let's say on a bear flag, a decent size move down, a consolidation phase, and then a horizontal break of that consolidation. And the same thing on the bull flag side. That's what I trade. Pretty much looking for the exact same setup on any time frame. That would make sense. So we played some bear flags early. I want to say we played more of them early, mostly bull flags, second half of the month, as the market's just gone not nuts. It's been strong, very strong. And not surprised, we ended up losing $53 on those because the market's been going up. So this is kind of what I would expect. Now on bull flags, we made $385 on those net, and then failed breakdowns $112. And then there's some trades in here that we didn't classify or that I didn't track as a bear or bull. Not many, but there are some in there that's why there is potentially a gap in the numbers. Mistakes. Let's get into the mistakes. Not many that I tagged here because a lot of it was kind of just trading like usual, trading the strategy. And there's not like, I have to say I didn't want to say I didn't make mistakes. I took one, there was one here overextended, but a lot of them was kind of overarching mistakes were death by 1,000 cuts versus early in the month versus, holding too long, being impatient, whatever. Like, it's not that this month, it really wasn't that big of a problem. I can't point to that and go, yeah, that was what it was. Because I journal all these trades once I take them. Now, here's where I got into some more detail that I wanted to start tracking. So, funny enough, I started tracking the time frames of the setup that I take. So I started to say, okay, let's see if I can track, and this inverse system to system, I started kind of not really tracking those very much, to be honest with you. It was more so the time frames. And I probably won't track these next month because I'm pretty much playing my system and I don't really care. I don't need to remind myself like, oh, I'm trading my strategy versus not. Like, I'm pretty much only going to trade my strategy, right? Why would I not? That's what I do. So time frame. So 5-minute chart, 30-minute chart, 1 hour, 1 week, 4 hour, and 1 day. So there's a lot of different time frames here that we did trade. We did trade a lot of 5-minute charts. Funny enough, the 5-minute chart setups, there were 17 trades. So there's a lot of day trades in here. These are day trades. I was net almost $400 in the green on those. Funny enough. Where I was getting chopped up on day trades was the 30-minute chart. So what this data tells me so far, now I took 9 of them, and that was I lost 416. So essentially, the 30-minute chart and the 5-minute chart are they don't have to be day trades. They're likely day trades. 5-minute is day trades for sure. 30-minute, pretty sure it's going to be a day trade. Once you get to 1 hour and up, there's a chance that setup may not trigger a day trade, depending upon, the size of the risk and reward that I'm looking for and how that 1 hour chart sets up. So like, for example, the silver trade was on the 1 hour chart and it took like 3 days or 2.5 days for that to pan out. that's just what it took. I don't know how long it's going to take. I just trade the charts. I don't really care how long it takes necessarily. I'll track it and I'll see. And if I can determine something from that, then I will. So that was the deal there. Now, daily chart setups. So these are swings. We netted positive there, netted positive on the hourly chart, netted positive on the weekly chart. The biggest just glaring piece is 30-minute chart. So I will still trade 30-minute chart setups. So I kind of like that chart look because it kind of clears out some of the noise. It's like you go to the 5-minute chart. You could go to like the 10 or the 15-minute chart, 20-minute chart. You can pick whatever time frame you want. People traditionally look at the 15 next. I kind of skipped that and was like, I don't know. I think I should go to the 30. That's from pulling from other people's ideas over the years and whatever, and like just seeing what works. And so I kind of go to that and like, if that doesn't work, then I'm not going to trade that. And then I just don't bother 30-minute chart if that's not working. And that's going to be taken over the course of a while, but I'm still going to know that in the back of my head and say, hey, like last month it was not great in the 30-minute chart. If we see a setup there, make sure, let's make sure it lines up, make sure it checked all the boxes before we just, take it, because we didn't do great with that. Maybe there's not a lot of correlation to the 30-minute chart and my strategy, which is fine. So that was the deal. So that's like the glaring, that right there is the glaring weakness of this month, was 30-minute chart setups did not work. And if we had avoided that, we would have been much, much nicer in the green, $500+ probably. Okay, last but not least, I will talk now about strategy going forward. Because again, if you look at this, you say to yourself, okay, hey, you're 25% of the way there. It's been about a month and a half of now on the prop firm. You're at 25% of the way there to the target. Like, let's push it up. Let's push it up. Here's my thoughts. Yes, I think I will. The problem is that I'm not going to just randomly do so. It's probably going to occur now into December. We're going to slowly inch that sizing up. And so, because I don't want to have a situation like I've talked about in the past, I don't have any rush to scale. If operated properly, if I had, I've had some good months over the course of this year where my win rate was like 60+%, for example. And if I can get back to now, again, last month, if you go to last month was a 51% win rate. So I'm like, if I can get to like, and my average win loss was a little bit better than this month, but pretty close. I'm like, if I can get back to that 60-ish% that I even had upper 60s, I believe, I think May or June. If I can get up into that range, just being more selective, higher probabilities, getting rid of some of the 30-minute charts, like taking the stuff that's working well, right? And keep the average win loss around where it's at. That's a pretty solid, those are solid numbers. Like I'm good with those numbers. Again, I don't rely upon this money to live right now. So I'm good just taking the time. There's no rush to get there, because the problem is that if I start to do so, let's say that I do so right now, I'm on average, well, not on average. I mean, you can see it. So last month, my average winner was 98. My average loser was 60, right? So if I scale up, or this month, if I scale up a little bit, you should start seeing those numbers bump a little bit, right? The ratio, the 1.65, is going to change depending upon how I'm really the risk management, the R multiple, that type of stuff. But those numbers should go up if I'm sizing up. So if you look at this month, again, this is kind of the progression. This month, average winner 105, average loser 67. So it's just my risk tolerance bumped up $7 on average, not a lot, but it bumped up $7, and then my upside bumped up a few dollars as well. So the plan will be to kind of just continue that motion to the north. So, average risk maybe being around 75. Now, of course, I say 75. That's not actually how it works. Like I go into trades with, usually a risk of around $100 or something along those lines. And then my target's, substantially higher depending upon the charts and everything. But it comes out that like things go my way. I move my stop up, and then we get, so that's kind of how it plays out. As price action develops, you can move I will move a stop. That's the discretionary aspect of trading that is real, that I actually just filmed a video on, not for this channel, but for the TC trading channel that should be coming out in the coming weeks. I think it's really important, but either way, that average win-loss, I would think, now it might not be a linear graph, but the plan is probably to inch that up. So maybe we're looking at average. If we keep the same stats, I keep a 157. Let's say we keep the exact same thing. Maybe we bump the winners up 10, 15, and we bump the losers up 5 to 10, or 10 or so. And that's kind of the progression. So I think that's I think that's the plan, because the last thing I want to do is have a tough couple of days in December, for example. And now you saw kind of what happened, right? We were down $700 this month at one point, and we finished up 165. So we kind of had to climb out of a hole, almost $1,000 hole, right, to come back in terms of a P&L swing from literally the 13th. So literally the second half of the month, we had to climb out of like $1,000 hole almost. We actually pretty much have, because we have unrealized, if I lock in the unrealized gains. So these numbers are they're very to me. It's not like, to me right now, these are not like, oh shit, like I'm kind of like, oh, that's like, my rent's like $1,200, utilities. So we start getting up into the couple thousand range, and then, there will be some adjustment period. It's not like it's a ton of money, right? But there will be an adjustment period. So I don't want to go from where we're at now to that spot too quick, and then maybe have some other unintended purposes or unintended side effects, mental issues that I have to deal with that come with the territory, because that's going to happen. Ideally, I would like to avoid that. And so I think I've done a good job of avoiding that, this entire year. Really, some minor hiccups, but I've done a pretty good job. So that's the plan, and the scaling plan. Because again, you go here and you say, okay, like, dude, you're going to be trading this shit for however long. So with that said, that's the plan to push things up. But again, no rush. Thanks so much for watching. That is November's trade recap. Links to TradeZella down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.